and welcome everyone to another edition of Faye Fitness. Today we are going to continue on with our Women's Self-Defense series, and this will be part 2 of our work with the abdominal cavity. So if you'll remember from last week, we did all of the hits and elbows and great punches that you can do to an attacker's abdominal cavity, their sternum, ribs, stomach area, to keep them away from you and keep yourself safe. Today we're going to talk about all the great kicks that you can do that will achieve the same goal. So if this sounds like something you'd like to learn, stay tuned and I'll show you how. Okay, so the first move I'm going to teach you is again on that more preventative side of things, and this is to help put as much distance between yourself and your attacker as possible. So if Ed was coming at me, I'm going to use in the kickboxing world what's called a front kick. This can be a lead front kick, a rear front kick, whatever leg you want. You're just going to bring your knee up and extend your leg out. So I'm going to do this from the side so you can see what it looks like. But just if I'm standing in a normal posture, I'm going to bring my leg up, out, and back. So the goal is to kick Ed anywhere in the abdominal cavity we can, whether it be his sternum, his ribs, his squishy abdominal stuff where all of the organs are, like the intestines, his solar plexus, his navel. And we want to kick with the entirety of our foot. So try not to use just the ball of your foot or the heel. We want to get as much surface area in contact with his abdomen as possible. And we want to kick as hard as we can, ideally to knock the wind out of him and make him stumble backwards. And so that way he doesn't even get in arm's reach to grab us or hurt us in any capacity. We're kicking him away and then creating an opening to turn and run. So what that's going to look like for Ed is if he's coming at me, I'm going to kick up, out, and then back. And then ideally, again, I've kicked with enough force that he will stumble backwards. This works well with either leg. I'm right-handed, so I tend to favor the right side of my body, right leg, right hand, right arm. But the same works for the left leg. You'll just bring it up, out, back, and down. The reason you don't want to let your leg just arc down after you've kicked is because, say it wasn't a really good kick and Ed's still coming at you, but you want to give some more distance. If you've recoiled the leg back and down, you can fire it again very quickly, as opposed to if I fire it and drop it, it's kind of hard to get it back up in time to really benefit and keep myself safe. So that's our first and probably the most important kick you can do to put as much distance between your attacker and yourself as possible. Next, what we'll do is, say Ed took us by surprise and he's kind of all up in our space and a lot closer than we'd like him to be. We're going to knee him. Again, ideally we want to try to get above the navel, pardon me, in this nice squishy intestinal area. But if you can get up under the ribs, that's great. If you can get into the ribs, that's fine too. We don't have to be as specific as we were with the punches, but we just kind of want to be in this general area. And when we're kneeing him, try not to lead with the knee. You actually want to lead with your hip bone because that's where all the power is. And again, if we're in a normal stance, it can be either leg. I'm right-handed, so I prefer my right leg. Just going to knee it up. And with the left leg, just knee it up. And that's something you might want to practice a little bit. Leading with the hip bone as opposed to the knee isn't a very intuitive move for most people, but if you want to have the most force behind it, definitely go with the hip. Just because those muscles are bigger, it's a larger joint, and it's just going to have more power behind it. So, and again, if you want, you can grab Ed and really knee him good with either leg. Feel free to get hands-on with your attacker. If they're coming at you to hurt you, by all means, return the favor to them. So grab Ed, and some people, like especially in my kickboxing class, they'll grab, take a step back for maximum force when they're coming to ram this into their opponent's abdomen. So again, this is something that is going to knock the wind out of him. If you get him on the side and do it from an angle, you could potentially break some ribs. It's not going to feel all that pleasant for your kneecap, so just keep that in mind. But you're going to stun him enough to where you can knee him and then run away. So the next move that we can do is called a roundhouse kick. And we can either do a rear or a front, left, right. There's many different names for it, but basically the concept is you want to kick up and over, sorry Ed, to where your shin is actually making contact with the abdominal cavity. This is another one of those where you can be close range, or it's typically more thought of as a mid-range kick, but if you're in tight corners, you can make it work. It's not going to be the best form and really, light anyone on fire with their technique, but it's going to get the job done. So again, if you want, you can grab Ed to stabilize and come up and over, or you can, if there's a little bit of distance, just come up and over like that, and then Ed falls to the floor. So, stay. It's really easy peasy. Again, for the left leg, you can grab Ed and come up and over, or if there's some distance, you can come up and over. So you don't want to really make impact with your ankle or your foot, because if you hit him hard enough, you could hurt yourself. You could sprain your ankle or break your foot, and that's not really something we want. So try to focus on the shin bone. Again, it's not going to be the most pleasant feeling in the world, but it's not going to hurt you. You may get a bruise. A bruise is much better than being assaulted or worse. So just keep that in mind. The basic move for it in a kickboxing stance, if I'm going to use my number 10 or right roundhouse kick, my right leg is a little bit behind my left. I'm coming up, over, out, and then down. And the same thing is true for the left roundhouse kick. Eventually that leg is going to be in behind in some capacity. Can come up, over, kick, and down. Really easy peasy. I wanted to show you all of these kicks in my work clothes so you could see how to do these in pants that don't have the best mobility. But if you just got off work or you just left the bar and you're in maybe some nice clothes that don't have a lot of stretch and flexibility to them, these are some great kicks that you can do to really hurt your attacker and provide many openings for you to turn and get away. So tune in next week, and we're actually going to talk about the arms and the hands and the pressure points and sensitive areas that you can hit on those body parts to keep yourself safe and again, stun your attacker so that you can get away. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really appreciate everyone who's had feedback and who's been viewing and subscribing to my channel. You guys rock. Thank you so much. I know I say that every week, but I'm just so thrilled at how much this community is growing and how interactive you all are. So just thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you all next week when we continue our series. So bye guys.